Louie T. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Wanted to come on and talk about the congressional hearings. The Congressional Oversight Committee requested that Daniel Snyder be in attendance as they talk about some matters with the organization, specifically sexual misconduct that happened in the workplace over the last decade plus. Roger Goodell was in attendance via Zoom. He testified, and they turned this thing into a shit show. It was terrible. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. If you watched it, it was a comedy of errors. It almost seemed like a movie, like a spoof or something. At one point, you had one of the congressmen calling Tom Brady the real Slim Brady. I mean, it was a disaster. However, there were things that were addressed that, kind of shed some light on the Daniel Snyder situation, and Congress has had enough. They gave him an opportunity to volunteer his testimony. Now they're going to demand it, as they are going to subpoena Daniel Snyder to show up in court and testify. He's been running from this. The NFL has had him running from this. They do not want that information that was in the Beth Wilkinson report to come to light. We're starting to get bits and pieces. However, we caught wind of, and I think this came from the Washington Post, if I'm not mistaken. And they've been doing a lot of digging. A lot of you think it's because of who owns the company, the Washington Post. I don't know. I don't care. At the end of the day, they uncovered. So we all knew about a certain situation that Washington, and Daniel Snyder in particular, tried to sweep under the rug. Paid someone some hush-hush money. Didn't know exactly why. We've heard about several incidents where, females were paid hush-hush money. We heard about the situation about, him being in, I can't remember if it was a limo or if it was in a plane. I want to say it was a limo. And, there were some, sexual advances made, potentially some things that went awry on the side of Daniel Snyder. They paid a woman some hush-hush money to keep that thing, under wraps. This is a similar situation, but this one goes into a little bit more explicit detail as to him making sexual advances, him trying to, get a little aggressive with her in terms of trying to get her to have sex with him. And it did not happen, but, it was sexual assault essentially, and they swept it under the rug. I think it was $1.6 million that was given to this woman. So that was something that just came out that we did not know about. But again, that was in 2009. So I don't know if they're going to go back, have some retroactive justice. I don't think so. They knew this. It was in the report, right? Like, this kind of gives me Ray Rice vibes. Remember, they wouldn't have suspended Ray Rice and had the outrage. They saw the tape before we saw the tape. The only reason the NFL was outraged by the Ray Rice situation is because it got out to the masses. It got out to us. We got to see it, and it was like, oh my God, you're still going to let this guy work here after he did that? That's when they saw the tape, and all they were going to do was suspend him, okay? And not indefinitely, not ban him, not essentially tell the rest of the league, you better not sign Ray Rice and blacklist him, which is what essentially happened. They were just going to give him like a 4-game suspension, slap him on the wrist and keep it pushing. And then when the video got out, that's when they had to really take a hardline stance. This is not acceptable. We will not tolerate this in the NFL. That's kind of what they're doing here. They want to sweep this under the rug. They want to keep this in-house. They do not want the contents of that Beth Wilkinson report to get out, which is why they said there was no actual paper document. It was all verbal, which is a lie. So now, Congress, first of all, I hate that Congress is getting involved in this. Like, this is dumb. This is not something the government should be getting involved in. Now, again, for my selfish reasons, if they were to uncover something here, if they were to force the NFL's hand, which I don't think they can do because it's a private entity, but if they were to force the NFL's hand into giving up some information that initially was not privy to us as fans and us on the outside looking in, that was very damning to Daniel Snyder's cause and really a black eye on the league to the point where they have to act, then I'm all for it, right? For selfish reasons, because I want this guy out of here. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's going to happen. And really, all I wanted to see today, okay, because I didn't watch all of this shit. I don't have, I told you, I don't get into politics. I don't have the stomach for this. This is stupid, all right? The bottom line is, I just wanted to see where Roger Goodell's alliance would side, okay? Because, again, he is the mouthpiece for the owners, okay? He wears the shield and the vest for the owners. He takes the bullets. That's why he's paid so handsomely. He's going to be the one that steps out in front of the cameras, steps in front of the mic, and he's going to be the one to take on the barrage of insults and the barrage of criticism that comes the NFL's way. He is supposed to stand up to that. So he did it again today. And I wanted to see if he was going to distance himself, meaning the owners, because he is a direct reflection of how the owners feel. So if he was distancing himself from Daniel Snyder today, if he was kind of leaving him on an island to fend for himself, that would tell me that the owners have had enough and they're looking for a way out. They're looking for an exit strategy. If he were to come here and still protect Daniel Snyder, it would say, and it would indicate to me that the owners are still behind Daniel Snyder and they have no intentions of pushing him out. And what I saw today and what I gathered today is that Roger Goodell is still protecting Daniel Snyder. They felt like they've done no wrong here. They felt like they did everything they needed to do. They punished him. The report is what it is. They don't want to disclose what's in the report. And so what it says to me is that they're still backing Daniel Snyder. That's all I really wanted to gather from all of this. He's not going to be pushed out. Now, Congress, subpoenaing him and making him come and testify, that's cool. I mean, I don't know what they're going to get out of Dan. Dan has been running from this, and there's only so much running he can do. When you're subpoenaed, you have to show up. So he's going to have to talk, but what is he actually going to say? And he's not going to say anything damaging to his own, case. He's not going to put himself in a bad spot. He's got a ton of lawyers, so he knows what he can and can't say and should or shouldn't say. So I don't imagine anything is going to come of this until the league throws him off of the ship and without a life raft, mind you, okay? And any kind of life-saving device, until they throw him off the ship and say, you got to figure it out yourself. You better swim, buddy. He's not going to be ousted as owner of the Commanders. I still don't think anything is going to come of this. It's interesting. More things are coming out, and the more that comes out, the better chances we have of seeing some justice take place. However, the likelihood is that nothing's going to come of this, which is why I think this is a big waste of time and a big waste of taxpayers' money. There are so many other issues you could be tackling other than trying to push an NFL owner out, and again, and doing it unsuccessfully, I might add. So this is a joke, but we're getting more information. We're getting little nuggets as we go along. More, things are being exposed, and the more things that get exposed, the more ammunition that there may be for an ousting of Daniel Snyder. That's the only hope that we have. I've said this. I don't think it's going to be one smoking gun, although that helps. I think it's an accumulation of just really bad things. And we added another one in here, but is it enough to get him pushed out, especially when none of this stuff has been recent? I don't think so. But again, the John Gruden comments weren't recent. And they got him pushed out just like that. So, and we know why, though. Again, as long as you don't stab Roger Goodell in the back and the rest of the league in the back, you got nothing to worry about. If he were, withholding funds, that would be the final straw. If they found out that he was withholding money from the rest of the NFL owners, that's what would get him out. But there's no proof there either. So, I said all of that to say this. This is interesting, but as a wise man once told me, this is interesting, but it's not important. It's interesting. There are a lot of crazy things said today, okay? But it's not important because I don't think Daniel Snyder is ultimately going to be forced out as owner of the Commanders. And that's all we really care about as fans, right? So we'll have a live show tomorrow night. I talked briefly, if you haven't watched the podcast, I talked briefly about Terry McLaurin's situation. Remember, the Terry McLaurin contract talks were intensifying. I talked about that. We'll talk more about that on Thursday night. Ron Rivera was fined. I talked about that on the podcast as well and we're going to be docked 2 OTA practices next year because of physical contact and play during the OTAs. And he was upset about that during the OTAs. And I talked about that on the podcast. We'll talk about that and elaborate on that further tomorrow night, as well as this situation with Daniel Snyder. Even though I don't think it's going in. To me, this is a road to nowhere. This is going to lead straight to a dead end where we've been many a times. And it's like you're talking in circles, which is why I don't like doing this. But I had to say something. You know, you can't have a whole hearing and have Daniel Snyder potentially being subpoenaed and not say something. But I'm dressed in all black like the Omen not because I fear for Daniel Snyder, because I hurt for us as fans, because all we want is change. Because we feel like it can't get any worse, and maybe it can. You know, we say things like, it can't get any worse. Why the hell not? Anyway, that's not, I'd much rather find out. Grass isn't always green on the other side, but damn it, I want to see what the grass looks like on the other side. I think a lot of you would like to as well. But nonetheless, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, post up and take command. All right? You know what it is. I appreciate each and every single one of you. If you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also, comment. Leave a comment down in the comment section. What do you think about all of this? I don't think it's much of anything. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow night. Have a good one. Peace. LouieTeeNetwork.